you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beard Brigade Talk to the Beard Extravaganza Never-Ending GRL show. Once again, I don't know, who do we have on? Andrew Gray was on last. How could you forget Andrew Gray? Then we went to lunch with Andrew Gray, which is a whole other experience. But now we have Carol Lynne. I'm going to tell the story again. I'm sorry, but the viewers did not hear it. That yesterday I decided it would be a really good idea that maybe we should get somebody from GRL up here to talk, because we're at GRL and we're like doing all these talk show things up in my hotel room, like all clandestine. And so I decided, well, maybe we should get somebody up here to talk to. And I went to Reese, my normal contact, and she said, no. I'm not a big deal. The big deal at GRL is Carol Lynne. So therefore I came and introduced myself, because I don't think I'd ever met you before, and you were gracious enough to accept. So I appreciate that. Sure. So I'm at lunch with Andrew, and I can't remember if this was before lunch or after lunch. Andrew was explaining to me that you are, in fact, an author, and you have, in fact, written a ton of books, and you are, in fact, kind of a big deal. I knew some of this. I knew you were an author. I've not read any of your books because you never paid me to do that. But apparently you've written shifter books, and that was kind of one of your things.
Shifter books, Cattle Valley, I'd say, was probably my
that was one he was talking about.
24 books in that series.
Yeah, and he said there was like the never ending. He said you made a website for the town.
Yes.
Which is fantastic, by the way.
Back in, that was like 2009. I did that.
That's like before websites were around.
I know. I know.
How long did that take on dial-up?
Yeah, exactly. I'm very tech illiterate. I had to shell out the money and hire people to do that sort of stuff.
Is that thing still up? The website? It's
not.
So you pulled it down?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
just like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, there were so many characters, and yeah.
Well, so you mentioned that you not necessarily stopped writing, but you've taken a kind of a vacation from writing since Ethan died.
Yeah.
Was there a connection between the two of you not writing and that event?
No, I started slowing down when another one of our organizers, William Neal, he passed away. And this is kind of a crazy thing, because he passed away shortly after we did our site visit for Albuquerque, the first time we went to Albuquerque.
Okay.
And it was just a sudden thing. He got home and just passed. And then it was the site visit for the second Albuquerque on site that Ethan passed away.
Albuquerque's bad luck.
Yeah. And so I think it was just those two important people in my life. You know, with William, it was, I finally realized I'm getting old, and I need to pay more attention to my children.
I don't think that's
than writing books, because I used to work 12 hours a day writing.
Yeah.
And so I just started really slowing down and making sure when they got home from school, I was mom again and not Carol Lynne. And then when Ethan passed, he just kind of sucked the joy out of, I'm not back yet, but I never say never.
For somebody who's written, you said 150 books.
Yeah.
For somebody who's written 100, you're not going to be gone from it for good. There's no, that's in your blood at that point. Well, I'm going to talk about GRL, and I'm going to ask a bunch of questions. And I'm kind of a noob at this still. 2019 was my first year that I've been to GRL.
Yeah.
I'm an audiobook narrator, and I've been working in the industry since 2012.
Yeah.
So I've been around a while, but I worked in a bubble until 2018, somewhere in there. And then I finally discovered this old interweb thing that we have. And I started making connections, and I started talking to a few other narrators and sent them in some groups. And then I discovered this whole, I think Nick J. Russo is the one that initially turned me on to GRL. And then I came to my first one. I met Greg Tremblay and Kurt Graves and all the other crew and everybody else. And that's when things kind of exploded. Yeah. For me anyways. But I understand, first off, this has been going on for 10 years. Am I right?
Well, officially, in 2008, I had a big, going back in time, Yahoo group.
I was on MySpace.
Pre-Facebook, we had a Yahoo group. And my readers at the time, they were like, oh, I'm going to be coming through Kansas City this summer. Can I stop and see you? And you know, oh, I'm coming too. And I finally said, you know what? Let's just get together. and have a little, gathering. And so I don't know, there was probably 35 people.
Okay.
And probably half of them stayed in my house. I had
The first
sleeping
GRL
bags and
was,
mattresses
it was
everywhere.
at your house?
Yes. And then we eventually moved to a hotel for the other stuff. But so then after that, it went so well, but I paid for almost all of it.
Wow.
All the food, all the, And so I asked Ethan Day, I said, hey, can you help me out next year? Because I want to have more people, but I can't afford more people. And he said, well, why don't we ask several authors? And maybe we can do something like that. So that's when we got several authors together. We went to New Orleans and we went to get a checking account. And they said, what name do you want on it? And we were stuck. We hadn't even discussed a name. And so we were like huddled in the bank. And, what do we... So then we came up with Gay Rom Lit.
Mm-hmm.
And so so that was our official name then. And then it changed to GRL for Uncle Sam purposes.
Okay.
But so New Orleans was the first one. Yeah.
So you didn't anticipate,
No.
GRL has changed my career.
Yeah.
You've affected so many people,
Yeah.
not only in the industry, but also the people the readers, the listeners, all that. You didn't see any of that coming?
No, because the whole goal in the beginning was I wanted a way to thank my readers, to thank the people that supported me and cared enough to buy my books and, stuff like that. And it was all about a big thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, we met a little bit of resistance in the beginning from authors who were not used to, I guess, paying to go to conferences.
Sure.
They were used to people paying them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of had to tell them, it's really not about you. It's about you thanking them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're here for the reader, to thank them, to talk to them, to, let them inside a little bit, because I think it's so important. It's important for an author, number one, because if you don't talk to readers, how do you know what they want to read?
Sure.
And I think it's important for readers because it means a lot more when you feel like you get to know an author, and then you care more about them than just their books.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it started. And yeah, we went the first year, official year, I think we had about 110, 120 people. And then by the next year, we had like 300. And then in 2019, I think we had around 450 sign up. But you usually get a certain percentage that just don't show up. So I think we had about 425.
I got my math.
Yeah.
Sometimes I lie, but
Yeah.
It's a lot of people though. So
It is.
What's the count this year?
This year is low because of COVID.
Yeah.
And, of course, we understand there's some people that just are afraid, and I get it.
Sure.
But this year, the count is about 245, I think. So much lower.
Yeah.
But it's okay because I kind of think it's nice to have that change from going from the bigger to the smaller. And we have a lot of new people this year.
So this is like the husband dick.
Yeah.
Somebody explained this concept to me recently, and I now know. Sometimes it's just too big. But you came from having the smaller conventions to the bigger conventions, and now you're back to the small. So you're enjoying the intimacy of this.
And I think when it is smaller, it's the best time for new people to come because they can kind of get to know what goes on and get to know people. And then when we hopefully next year get back to normal, it'll be a bigger group, but the new people won't be new anymore, and they'll have people they can talk to and feel a part of the group.
Well, people don't understand, and I didn't understand as I came in as a new person. You're welcomed with open arms, and very quickly you're meeting. We're all. This is not a genre or an industry in particular where we're a bunch of outgoing folk. I mean, we're a lot of introverts, particularly for the most part. Even me, I seem gregarious, but trust me, this is.
Yeah.
So when we get into these groups, suddenly within 5 minutes, you're talking to a cult of people that
Yeah.
are into the same stuff as you.
Right.
And very quickly you make friends that you never,
Yeah.
that's what I've seen, even just a couple years.
Yeah. And I always tell people, when they come to the registration desk, if it's their first time, get up the courage to go sit down in an empty seat somewhere and just say, do you mind if I sit here? Because I guarantee they don't mind. And, they are so welcoming, but a lot of times they're insecure enough that they don't want to invite someone in necessarily because they're maybe afraid, that person won't want to come over and then I'll, feel bad. But it goes both ways. And
Sure.
yeah, every group is welcoming if you just give it that little bit of bravery.
Incredible, particularly for that I've seen. The MM romance community in particular is like that anyways, in my opinion. That's why I stayed. I did not set out in my career to narrate MM romance audiobooks. It just wasn't on my radar.
Right.
But I landed in this, and the community is what kept me around.
Yeah.
And then realizing as an audiobook narrator, I get to narrate all genres because I'm narrating an MM romance. So I'm working on a fantasy one week, a sci-fi the next week, and they're all in the MM romance genre.
Yeah.
So it gives a tremendous flexibility for me. The community, though, is amazing.
Yeah.
So you kind of are on a first name basis with like 230 people here this weekend. You know a lot of them, I would imagine.
Yeah. I'm not as outgoing as I would like to be. I tell myself every year, this year I'm going to meet 20 new people. And then, this year I'm going to meet, I'm one of those people that always think people don't want to talk to me. Always. And I always have been that way. And so I don't know if it's shy or.
There's about 1,200 more people that are going to know your name to your face now. So there's one thing. The plans for next year, you said that we're going to Virginia.
Yep.
I say we because now I'm including myself. I'm just on the
Virginia.
boat. And that's for the next 2 years, right?
Yes.
Cool. I was not at the Virginia one. So I didn't do that.
I enjoyed the Virginia one. It's right on the water. You can take a ferry right from by the hotel to across the water to Norfolk. And there's a place like next door here called Waterside. That's just restaurants and stuff like that. And bars. And, but I like it because, I tend to like the quieter hotels. My preference has always been to find a hotel outside the city just because it's more relaxed, in my opinion. A lot of people don't like that. So I try my best to go in the city and then I'll kind of stretch it a little bit out of the city. And then, I try to make people happy while keeping myself sane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked Virginia. They did a good job. We had a little bit of snafu that year with Marriott overbooking.
Okay.
But it's Marriott. What are you going to do? You can't take on Marriott,
How do you do that selection process? Do you? I'm assuming it's like you and Dante Reese and I guess is it Caroline? Is that I forget.
Teresa?
Teresa, I'm sorry.
No. Usually what I do, I usually will go and narrow stuff down. And I look for, you have to have a hotel that has enough rooms, sleeping rooms. It has enough meeting space. We require a lot of meeting space.
4 rooms?
And,
is that what you get?
and big rooms.
Yeah.
And then once we get the rooms, we want to keep the rooms. And a lot of hotels don't, they're used to like a wedding or, a day meeting and then they turn it around. So because we require these rooms all day for 3 or 4 days, it's not always easy to, get a hotel to let us do that. And then I usually will go on Expedia, my next thing, and say, how much does it cost to fly from here to here? And I'll try like all the big airports into where I'm going to kind of get an idea if it's one of those crazy priced locations, because sometimes they are.
Yeah.
So I take that into account, and then I finally, I have all that information. Then I reach out to the hotel and I say, how much can we get the sleeping rooms for if we, block 200 rooms out? How much, Now the only problem is when you block 200 rooms, that means GRL is responsible most of the time for 180 rooms. So
So you have
anything
to-
that we do not sell
You have to pay for?
we have to pay for it. So it's a risky thing.
Yeah.
And we book hotels 2 years in advance. So you don't know what's going to happen in 2 years, you know?
Pandemic. Look
Right,
at that.
right. So, and then once I get, in, 2 or 3 locations, then I send links to Reese and Teresa, and we discuss them, and then we'll pick one, and then we'll go visit that location to make sure it's good. This location, this year, we didn't get to do that
You didn't do a walkthrough?
because we had months later, after we signed the contract, we came for an actual site visit. We felt good enough to do that, and then realized that second floor, it's not on the same floor. What's with the 2 different levels on the second floor?
I didn't even think about that until you
Yeah.
mentioned it last night.
Yeah. They didn't, nothing was said about
Yeah.
that. And I told the guy, I said, this is a huge problem.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we have ways around it. And I'm like, you need to tell people up front.
Sure. So they don't have to walk all the way around.
Right.
Or
that,
roll all the way.
The second floor is not all on one level. It's on 2 different levels,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But so that's how we ended up with
It is
2
what
different
it
levels.
is. Luckily,
And I feel bad, but
yeah, I luckily from the people I've talked to, everybody's
yeah.
we're cool. We'll make it all work. The fact that you all have, it's a lot of work you
Yeah.
do to put in. I know Reese, everybody is doing this behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I seriously doubt you're paying your mortgage with this money.
Oh.
So
No, usually we get our trip, honestly, our hotel is paid for. Because you get certain perks
Sure.
from the hotel, there's no,
yeah, I don't think this is, you're making a living with this. So you're doing it out of a love and a passion for the
Yeah.
community and out of the event. And the fact is, after a little while, I mean, you're a part of this, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you're seeing a lot of your friends. So you only see maybe once or twice a
Yeah,
year.
right.
I get it, but thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for continuing it on because
well, and I always, and I've said this before, usually, about like the day that I first get here on Monday, I'm pretty much over GRO. I'm,
Yeah, I get it.
tired of people complaining about this or that, or, and then I sit in the lobby and I see people come in and hug and run and scream and, hug people that they haven't seen for a year, or in this case, 2 years. And I don't know, it just fills me up. And I'm like, okay,
yeah.
this is why I do it. And then I have enough juice to run me another year, and that's kind of the way it is. I get more from watching people interact with each other than anything. It's
amazing. Well, and it's love. What the community is supposed to be about. It isn't always, but
Yeah.
what we're supposed to be about is love is love. That's
Yeah.
that's what it's supposed to be. This is one of the events where I kind of feel that myself.
Yeah.
And I, from a newcomer coming in over the last couple of years, right? The first 2019 for me was this crazy whirlwind. I'd done EPC over in Amsterdam that year, and those were my 2 first conventions ever, and I was just head spinning, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't really. There's a lot going on. You're meeting a lot of people, and I didn't realize. And I've said this enough that all the fans know, but I didn't realize that people even knew who I was, or that narrators were. I thought people came here for authors, to meet the authors.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm walking through and I hear this like, John Solo's there. The same thing that Nick J. Russo was telling me about from the year prior.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, people actually know. So I was able to
Yeah.
actually interact a little bit. This year is it's a much smaller, more intimate event, but it's also very cool because I actually know some people now, and
Right.
I know their faces.
Yeah.
As a newcomer coming in, there's nothing like this other than EPC that I know of for this particular genre out there.
Yeah.
This is it. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting it together. Thank you for putting it on.
You're very welcome.
Have I said thank you enough times where you will be mad at me for running a talk show out of my hotel room? But yes, thank you. Is there anything else? I know we're doing from the 10th to the 17th next year.
Yeah.
What's the website that people can go on and
sometimes when we'll open registration.
Okay, so it's good. They
For
can't
that.
register now. They'll have to wait till
Right.
February to go on and do
Yeah.
it. Cool.
Yeah.
Now I know most of the interactions are in the Facebook group. That's what I've seen, anyways.
Yeah.
And is it GRL? You just search GRL on Facebook to find that. Or?
Yeah. GRL Retreat is our main Facebook page.
Okay.
And then once you register for the event, we send out like a link for the like we have one that's St. Louis 2021 GRL Retreat.
Okay.
So then you get to know people that that are registered to be there in 2021 or this next year 2022. People can find usually roommates that way. A lot of times people find ride shares,
But the Facebook groups are year dependent. So there's one for 2021. There'll be another Facebook group for 2022 that someone need to find for that.
For the little ones. But we do have just a
main page.
A main page that's
Okay.
GRL Retreat.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you again for doing this.
Yeah.
It's not. I know you haven't got a lot going on this week, but
Well, actually, I was going to take a nap.
see,
Don't tell
exactly.
anybody.
Well, this part is really easy. We wave bye to the camera. I hit the outro video, and you can go take your nap. So, thank you very much, Carol Lynne.
Thanks.
Enjoy your day.